automatically. The other 1 and 2 teams will be playing a best-of-1 tiebreaker at the end of show tomorrow.
Exactly.
To decide who goes and who goes home. And then obviously the 0-3 team is out.
Yeah, tomorrow we've got a really exciting schedule because it's the 0-2 teams playing in the elimination match for 0-3.
Yeah.
It's the 2-0 teams playing in the 3-0 match for who gets to be the first seed, like who's the best team in Swiss. And then it's the BO1 to determine the secondary elimination. So a lot of stuff on the line tomorrow, but we've got to finish our festivities here today to see how that's going to shake out. So getting into the second game here, Sentinels have elected for first pick, and Team Liquid has chosen the blue side. TL banning out Cassante, Nocturne, and Rumble, so 2 out of 3 of their bans being spent on their former teammate there in the top lane. Meanwhile, Sentinels will ban away Akali, Aurora, and Gwen. A lot of AP solo lane threat here taken out, as let's see what Sentinels wants to go with for the first pick, the Azir being up. I just feel like this champion is mid lane. He kind of fits into the same bucket for me as like Orianna, where he can just fit into any comp and it'll have presence and pressure.
Speaking of Orianna, I think it's going to be one of Team Liquid's picks in the next 3. Depends how much they want to style, though. This could also be a QUID Yone angle, so I'm not sure what they're going to do in 1-2. But when you leave Azir Orianna up, you're probably picking one of the 2. It's a little bit interesting because Team Liquid banned the Nocturne, so the Knock Wave combo is going to be nerfed. But Morgan, when Renekton is up, picks Renekton a lot of the time. It's his best champion. He's got it again.
Yeah, the Renekton's locked in here with the Cassante already banned away during this first phase as well, because I feel like that's another one of those things where it's just very easy to see Cassante Renekton be the top lane matchup once one of them is chosen. So without that response available, we'll see what Impact wants to have here as Jarvan is selected here for the jungle for Team Liquid.
I really like it. I'd mentioned how most teams have been banning Jarvan against HamBak with the first pick priority on Azir. Even if Team Liquid wants to answer with Orianna, they don't have to do it immediately. So instead, they just power pick their top laner for Morgan with Renekton, and then give Jose Jarvan, which could also be a good combo with Orianna if that's what QUID wants to do next.
Okay, and we're going to see Sentinels lock in the Sion for top lane there for Impact as well. I know that this is a champ that Impact has plenty of experience on. I love seeing Impact be on champions, not just that can have a big presence in the team fight, but can also move around the map more easily, because Impact is not a selfish player. You hear Ezreal talk about this all the time. He's not the guy who wants to sit in his side lane and take plates and be the split pusher hero. He's the guy who wants to join up with fights, translate his advantage elsewhere, and having an ultimate like Sion lets you do that more frequently and more effectively. Third pick of the draft here for Sentinels is the Neeko.
And if Impact does well in lane, he can also start not having threat on him from the Renekton, but it'll be a really interesting early game with Morgan playing, I imagine, a very aggressive Renekton to try and get push and first move the entire game. I think that's what we're going to see if Team Liquid can pull off, Morgan just constantly having lane prio, because I've heard that he's an incredibly good laner in scrims, and I'm also going to say I doubt we're seeing Guardian Renekton in this game. Like, as fun as it would be to beat him with Guardian in the second game, I think it would actually be unplayable to have Guardian Renekton against the Sion.
You just never have any chance to kill him ever for any reason, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's just not going to work out. We also get exactly what you were predicting here for Team Liquid on pick number 3 with the Orianna. It's just exactly as you said. You know it's not going to get stolen away because it's not like Sentinels can do anything useful with it after they already have Azir. So TL will be happy to just take that one before the second half of the bans start coming in. And with those bans surfacing, Yunara is going to be the first one banned out by TL. Remember, the AD carry bans in the second half of this one are a bit of a double-edged sword, because you still have the AD carry left to be selected for both teams. Sentinel's going to ban supports instead. Looking at CoreJJ's Bard.
I like it with Sentinels at least trying to pick a lane that they're going to play through. It's hard to guarantee any prio in Azir versus Orianna. They're not going to have prio in top lane with Sion versus Renekton. But if they pick Neeko early and then ban out the other supports that often match Neeko, like Bard and potentially even Alistar, then they would put Team Liquid in hopefully a disadvantageous spot with support.
And like you said at the end of last game, bright point for Sentinels in a game number 1 that didn't have a lot of them. HamBak's pressure for the first blood in the bottom lane. Clearly they want to try to play through bot. They want to try to help these guys. Xin Zhao banned out here by Team Liquid. That was one that we saw HamBak hover and draft both last game and in this game, I believe. So with that one taken off the table, that is going to reduce some of your early pressure. And there's the Nautilus ban from Sentinels.
So CoreJJ down 1 engage support, but So Alistar doesn't necessarily beat Neeko, but I see a lot of people play Alistar into Neeko because it won't get bursted later, and it can also face check a lot of bushes. We'll see what Team Liquid decide to go with, though, because they don't necessarily need to draft for team composition. It seems like Core and Yeon are just really confident with any laning combo they go for. Yeon loves to do a lot of different hovers. I feel like there's so many different directions they can go here. Potentially Ezreal's a little dangerous because they are against a Sion, and Orianna. Ezreal doesn't have a huge amount of sustained damage, but it does give them really good range, and it's good into Neeko.
Well, let's see how Sentinels wants to respond here. I need not just the AD carry, but the jungler right next to it. You know you're going up against Josedeodo on the Jarvan. You know he's going to be looking for some playmaking on that one. You know he's going to be already kind of locked in from the performance last game with all those great engages on the Wukong. Jarvan going to have a similar threat in this one, so I want to see what HamBak can respond with. We are going to get the Kaisa here for the Sentinel side. So you've got Neeko, Kaisa, Azir. Like, even your carries are happy to jump into the fights for things like the Emperor's Divide, use the killer instinct. This feels very aggressive from Sentinels.
Yeah, I feel like last game, they didn't feel like they could do much, so they're stacking engage tools here, and a late pick Vi as well, so this is a Kaisa comp. If the Kaisa can get going, then Rahel would be in for a very strong game, but that's what Team Liquid's going to try and stop from happening, just picking really strong lanes, right? I feel like that's been the name of the game for a lot of these Team Liquid drafts early in the season. They pick for matchup, and they try and blow the other team out.
And Karma Ezreal, this is a classic bullet hell bottom lane to have to match up into. As long as they're landing Mystic shots and Inner Flames, your health bar is constantly going to be taxed, constantly under pressure for a shorter range marksman like Kaisa, who wants to get in, fire the Acathian range, scrap up close. Once you're low on health, that becomes seriously dangerous, seriously quick. So we'll see how well Yeon and Core can dial in that accuracy.
And this is really interesting early season draft trends I'm seeing from Team Liquid with CoreJJ this series so far playing Nami and Karma. Might end up being rewarded more as we progress into this year. As we're getting into game, I feel like the rest of this topic will be reserved for a podcast. But he's trolling us. It's Conqueror Jarvan.
Yeah, he's just messing, man.
First Strike Jarvan actually seems legit, by the way.
It doesn't seem as legit as Conqueror Jarvan. I'm just going to go on record saying that.
Yeah, I'm going to try it.
Okay, are they playing it in jungle, or are they playing it as a support cheese?
Jungle. Jungle, 54% win rate in 800 games. Compared to 52% win rate in 350,000 games. Sample size notwithstanding,
if you ignore
it seems
the word
fine.
1,000 and only compare the hundreds of games part.
It's only 350 times more likely to be brought.
Yeah, it's only a multiple of 1,000 times as many games. I don't see the issue here.
Might be good.
Okay,
First Strike, it's the same as First Strike Jace, right? You're just trying to farm gold, and you burst hard.
Yeah, Accelerated Shock Blast is the same thing as Flag.
And drag. Don't forget the second part of the combo.
True. All right, well, since Josedeodo will not be enlightening us with any of these new age Jarvan builds today, he will be on the standard stuff, starting on the top side of the map, and you'll see in the mirror there, HamBak doing the same thing. As right now, Yeon and Core are doing exactly what I kind of expected them to do on this Ezreal Karma duo. You use your range, you use your pressure early, and you just make these guys constantly sweat versus the projectile volley.
I mean, I want to see if they do exactly what they did last game, though, because last game, they pushed up really hard, they used their wards in lane to control the bush, and then they got almost cheese ganked by HamBak, which gave HamBak a kill and didn't really hurt their lane. So I feel like they're saying that was actually completely fine. We don't care if you gank us and get a kill, because they're not warding currently. Core does have a trinket. He may go and use it soon, because this would be the timing that HamBak would do a gank if he goes early. But for the most part, this is what we saw from draft. Team Liquid said they're just going to try and push every wave, and you just have to pick the lane that you decide to gank.
Okay, let's see what they've got. I mean, Yeon is Ezreal. You've got Flash built into the kit. CoreJJ on Karma also has his tether and his shield for the extra evasiveness. Aggressive tether here, and huhi absorbs a lot of the damage there for Rahel, but absorbing it means it's still landing on somebody, and this Kaisa and Neeko are struggling to find legs to stand on. Here in the bottom lane, 2v2, you can see the clone walked into the brush there, and it did see the Jarvan moving through the bottom side river of Josedeodo, so as long as they were paying attention, they got that brief flash of vision there. HamBak is going to take the top side crab, because he knows bottom side crab is not contestable when your bottom lane is trapped underneath this turret.
But look at what they're doing now. Jose, instead of recalling, is just helping to zone Rahel and huhi off that wave. Really good ward, though, that is going to be able to interrupt this recall if they want. Core blocks it for him.
Perfect.
See, I love it when the support gives back to the jungler, because
Same.
that could have completely ruined his tempo as he was helping the bot lane with that move. But Core managed to save it with the nice block on the Kaisa W. Now he's right back for his Grand Prix spawn. Great first 3.5 minutes by Team Liquid.
Yeah, you love to see it. We mentioned how last game the plate count was very low overall for both teams, but we've already got the first plate taken now by Team Liquid in the bottom lane, forcing their opponents back away from that massive wave like you mentioned, as now Yeon does have to wait for Core to get back into the lane, so will not be able to exert the same amount of pressure that he had earlier. HamBak still not able to really find a lot of anything just yet. Obviously, Josedeodo hasn't ganked, but I still feel like, you know, that's one of the differences that I still feel you're going to see a lot more of in pro compared to solo queue is the junglers successfully being able to have a large impact on lanes that they don't truly gank, as Rahel and huhi, again, just constantly on the receiving end of these trades.
Yeah, Core and Yeon are landing all their skill shots. The way Core weaved that Karma Q around the clone directly into huhi, making them reset again as the wave was actually temporarily frozen. So they're going to deny a lot of golden experience, who Core almost gets a recall as well. Jose's likely going to look for a Gromp invade here. They've already pre-warded it. They have the wave. They're going to slow push it and try and crash it at the turret as the Kaisa's running back to base. So maybe they're going to pull off of it.
So one thing worth noting here, you can see the cooldown on CoreJJ's mantra for the R. It was still on cooldown when Rahel was recalling on the Kaisa. I believe if you have the mantra ready, you can shoot the Q early enough to interrupt the Kaisa recall there. DARKWINGS at 50 HP. QUID putting the pressure on in the mid lane, making sure that it's not just Yeon and CoreJJ running their lane matchup in this early game. And now 5 minutes on the clock, Josedeodo feels empowered to just go for a solo dragon. Up in the top lane, Morgan is proxy farming against Impact, who goes for the ulti to stun him up here near the wall. Morgan about to die. It's first blood. Impact gets a solo kill when he has the right runes. Morgan might have overplayed his hand just a little bit here, trying to keep up with his mid and bot lane dominance. But that dominance does continue as Jose secures the first Drake of the game for TL, who he's got to be careful about getting any closer right here. He's already down to half HP. HamBak hanging around nearby, but it does not matter because Team Liquid still maintains control over the neutrals. They will still secure the Drake and the Crab.
Flowers, yes. Team Liquid is playing so unbelievably aggressive right now.
Oh, yeah.
They are kind of pseudo-turret diving all 3 lanes at once. I imagine Morgan probably took a turret shot or 2, but the crazy thing is, after getting solo killed with first blood bonus gold,
he's still ahead.
He's still ahead. That's how much he was pushing the tempo in that lane. Knew the jungler was bottom, tried to proxy, messed it up. Potentially that could really hurt because now, like, what are you really going to do against a Bramble Vest, Chain Vest, Sion? I think he's really going to have a hard time getting an advantage now. But yeah, let's watch this. I mean, Impact just... Morgan, what are you doing, bro? Yeah, he doesn't even take a turret shot, but I think getting hit by that Q...
It was a full decimating smash.
And then the second Q. It doesn't matter if you get the empowered Q on the minions. Yeah, getting hit by 2 full charge Qs, not ideal.
Eternal swagger from Impact. Yeah. He's back where he belongs. He's got his runes. He's ready to go. Hey! Solo kills. I said last game I was going to be really impressed if it went from a 2 to a 3 with the Guardian activated. That didn't happen, but here in game 2, he does solo kill Morgan's Renekton with the Sion, so he goes up to 3.
And they won Split 1 last year, so they played a lot of games. This is only game number 6 or 7 for Impact, because they played 3 games in the first week. So, hey, still got it. He's going to be really hard for Renekton to do anything against him now that he's built those brick items.
And that's also something that I think if you're Team Liquid, remember that last year felt like for so much of the year, the story was FlyQuest are the protagonist of the LCS, right? Yeah. But on the path to first stand, it was TL, like you said, who represented us there. They went over and they placed 5th of 5. Right?
Yes.
It was, again, not the performance that Team Liquid, an organization that builds to win trophies, that wants to be a competitor, would be happy with. So I think you've got all the more motivation to try to get back to first stand and say, no, 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 that's not what Team Liquid is made of. We can put up a better performance than that.
We got HamBak snuck through vision, is behind Core and Yeon, I just wonder if huhi and Rahel have enough health to follow up. So Rahel will have ult. HamBak will look to see who he engages on. All summoners there for Team Liquid. This has got to be clean.
Huhi has a minion. They got to count the minions on the Team Liquid side. Flash away from CoreJJ. Huhi already tried to use the Tangle Barbs, and they're going to send their attention over to Yeon. Nice use of the Vault Breaker to cut off the escape. Combined with the flash, they knock Yeon down. Sentinels gets a kill bottom side.
And great job getting the kill onto the carry as well, because now they get to deny him this entire wave. It lowers the threat. It allows Rahel to get that plate. Actually gives him an advantage in gold in this game, which is crazy considering it feels like he's just been fighting for his life this entire time. Not to mention, he's gone cull. Yeon hasn't, so he's going to have that cash in 43 more CS. So Sentinels, despite getting really blitzed by Team Liquid's early lane pressure, is set up completely fine as we approach the mid game.
And, you know, we've talked about the top lane because there was a kill there. We just talked about the bottom lane because of the pressure and the kill down there. But back over in mid, that's quietly the biggest individual gold lead so far in this game. QUID nearly getting the solo on DARKWINGS earlier, not quite having enough damage to make it happen. Now CoreJJ tries to go in to put the pressure onto DARKWINGS, but the Emperor's Divide is ready. DARKWINGS sees the opportunity to instantly turn the play around with his bot lane roaming up. And for Sentinels, that's an easy alley-oop into a third kill, and they'll tie this gold lead up.
CoreJJ not respecting when he's a flashless Karma, and also generally not respecting how decisive DARKWINGS could be. Having huhi there and having the Vi around gave DARKWINGS the confidence, but I still do have to credit him. Like, when you're in this situation, as he has been in this game where he's been fighting for his life against the Orianna the entire time under his turret, to immediately just shift in, ult back as soon as you see the moment, just speaks to, you know, him not tilting and having really good presence of mind.
All right, Yeon back in the bottom lane now as they want to try to keep this wave, this lane pressure on. There's only 25 seconds left until the next Drake is live. Since Team Liquid have controlled the bottom lane the entire time, it's been very easy for Josedeodo to control the Dragon Pit. One kind of just leads into the other, and you can see Jose already down around this part of the map, does believe he has enough time to go ahead and grab the Krugs, so not worried about just being in the pit as soon as the thing spawns. But you can see HamBak also pathing, towards the area.
So, Team Liquid is really not that far ahead considering how much they've drafted and played around their lanes. You can see big CS advantages all throughout. You know, 116 to 88 in top lane, 111 to 98 in mid, 103 to 90 in bot lane. But because Sentinels have been able to fight back and get 3 kills, we're within 500 gold. So I think the Drake fights are going to be really explosive here if Sentinels can continue to punish this flashless Karma, as Jose wants to move into the river, knows there's no vision, but you can see, you know, everyone reset on Sentinels to be in position pretty soon.
Okay, Jose is going to go ahead, start up the Drake here. Junglers both have their Sundered Skies completed. Top laners both have their teleports ready to join the fight if they need to. Stridebreaker is done for Morgan, but because Sion has to build a garage sale of defense, he does not have a first item power spike. Team Liquid, DPS slow onto the Dragon. Got it down below 3,000. Morgan wrapping around from behind, going in for the pincer attack. Huhi wants the pop blossom. He finds it onto 2. HamBak ready to follow up. Rahel needs more damage if they want to try to kill Josedeodo, but Huhi's already gone. CoreJJ under pressure, but Team Liquid is finding so many kills. QUID knocks down HamBak. Morgan is ready and waiting with an open maw for impact here in the bottom lane. The Mystic Shot can barely not catch up to the Sion, but it's CoreJJ traded for 3 players on the Sentinels side. Team Liquid, just like last game, Jatt, once you have both teams handshake for a duel, for a fight here at the Dragon, it's Team Liquid who have the faster hands.
Wow from Yeon and Jose. I also said wow, so I'm wondering what they're wowing here. For me, it was that I couldn't follow the fight very well because it was too fast, but I wonder what happened there, because they kind of just blew the game open once again. You can see they're very relaxed in this game, also hitting their first mythics across the board. So let's watch this. So they get the Drake as well as win the fight, but let's see where Jarvan Orianna went. You can see Morgan's here early. Huhi goes in, Yeon and QUID completely avoid it. And then, I mean, Jose gets the smite steal. Morgan just jumps in and one-shots the Karma. Just a really well-played fight here.
Yeah, I feel like if I'm on the Team Liquid side, that's about how I feel about that team fight too. Also just worked out so well that Yeon's True Shot Barrage firing through the middle of everybody was also enough to kill off huhi's Neeko for the last hit, so you even get more money on your AD carry. Trinity Force done for him now. Tier stacking up even further. Rahel is about to get that cash in on the call that you mentioned earlier that's going to equalize most of that gold lead for Yeon, but that's the gold lead of one of the 5 roles, and honestly, everybody that's not support has a meaningful gold lead 13 minutes into the game.
Team Liquid's looking pretty strong these last 2 weeks. They're set against Shopify as well as the 2 games here. And this isn't even a game that's gone well for Team Liquid. This is always a debate you'll have in scrim. So to me, this is a little bit like a scrim draft for me with the way they're playing, where they have 3 winning lanes. Funny thing about league teams is actually there's going to be a fight in River, so I'll save this point for later.
Well, now hold on. We also might just have them look like they're going to fight.
This is frequent. HamBak is looking though. He's in a crouching stance.
I think that dragon might want to stay hidden, my friend.
I believe so, unless he
nope.
goes back to base.
Go home. Okay, we're good. What were you going to bring up?
So, if you're a team that has 3 losing lanes, you always say afterwards, if you lose the game, Morgan might be dead.
Yeah, okay. Impact goes in, stops him from being able to get away. Morgan does pop the Dominus, slices out of the way of the decimating smash. He wanted to try to heal up with the call to Meeko the minions, but nope, not going to happen. Rahel bursts him down in time.
No,
so
game's too fast.
Morgan.
They want to keep diving.
Okay, True Shot Barrage. Trying to make some space. HamBak gets all the way back. He knows if Yeon's positioning like this, they've probably got the squad nearby to try to make something even worse happen.
Huhi.
Yeah, huhi's going to walk right through the Hex Gate. Immediately eats a Dragon Strike plus Mantra Inner Flame combo to lose 30–40% of his HP, something around there. DARKWINGS ready to join up though.
This is a really weird game with how fast it is and how close the goal still is, despite it looking like Team Liquid has just been running the whole server. I mean, Rahel's going to get fed off this bot turret. His call cashed in. He got the kill. He's also going to be not first turret gold, but still solo turret gold, so he's pulling ahead of Yeon. I ran into Spooks before the game talking about tempo, and he said any scrim where Hex Gates are up end up being this like 80 kill game, because not only do you have home guards, you also have the Hex Gates, so people are just on the map that you are unable to track, and you just end up skirmishing a lot, which is kind of what this game might devolve into, as they're going to fight over this Rift Herald as well. Yeah, the Herald's down to 5,000 HP. It's Team Liquid with control over the river, but Sentinels are ready to challenge that. Impact wants to be the front line here for the team. Does not have the ult ready to go. HamBak goes in for the play onto QUID, but he flashes away from the pop. Rahel into the back line here with the Killer Instinct. Finishes the job, and the Team Liquid mid laner is down. However, they do accomplish what they came for. They get themselves the Herald. They should be able to pick up that eye. Josedeodo does secure it. So QUID traded for the Herald here on the top side. This is a Rahel carry angle. 1,500 gold on the Kaisa, and everyone in the team comp sets up the Kaisa. Not to mention, not really tanky backliners are good ways of peeling the Kaisa in team fights. So Sentinels absolutely in this game, incredible ways of just being scrappy to get gold onto Rahel, and now actually have a decent chance to win this game, in my opinion, as DARKWINGS, with Impact, just poking, decides not to do more. Did have the Azir ultimate, didn't flip him back because Drake is up, so Team Liquid probably going to get Soul Point here, you would imagine. Yeah, considering, okay, the Azir's just now making his recall, but he does have teleport to try to join up with the rest of Sentinels. QUID putting the pressure onto the tier 1 here in the bottom lane, has a big wave crashing into that one. DARKWINGS has already arrived. Josedeodo going in. HamBak going to be the target, but there's no damage here to follow it up just yet. QUID's now going to be in massive danger. Goes golden, but he'll die as soon as he gets out of that statue form. They kill Rahel in trade, though. There's that Kaisa. There's that win condition you were talking about out of the picture now, as HamBak is down to 50 HP. Team Liquid trying to get out of the enemy jungle now, as both top laners have arrived for the fight. Morgan trying to make sure that his team can get control over this Scuttle Crab now, as you're going to see Josedeodo summon up the Rift Herald over in mid lane, then go ahead and take his recall, look for the reset. Herald secures the tier 1 turret. And ultimately, we just have a couple of kills traded here, but critically one of those is Rahel, that very powerful Kaisa on the Sentinel side. Also power spike there from DARKWINGS with his Gnasher's Tooth, making play after play. 2-0-2 now. Does a nice little tempo gank in the top lane to then teleporting bot lane to get the scoop onto QUID. Now turning towards this Drake, which isn't necessarily free. Team Liquid decide to give it away. And soul point denied by Sentinels as they look to make a play bottom now.
I feel like that is huge for Sentinels denying that soul point there as Morgan flashes away from the Pop Blossom, but the Tangle Barbs still lock him up, and Sentinels should have enough damage here. You gotta be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me. Morgan gets away with 100 HP on the Renekton.
Lord Morgan, but yes, absolutely anyone's game, and Sentinels has got to be so happy with how this goes. I think I have a quick window to get my point across. In games, when you have 3 losing lanes, the team is going to say it feels like it's unplayable, which it does if you lose. But I'll also say on the other side, when you have 3 winning lanes, it's kind of hard to win because you end up being too exposed. If you're pushing all 3 lanes at once, you can never really protect all 3 lanes at once, so you're always vulnerable to things like Vi ganks, and I feel like that's what's happened here. Team Liquid tried to crush all 3 lanes, and they made these little mistakes along the way where Core dies, and then Morgan dies while proxying, and then QUID dies to a gank, and suddenly you're in this mid-game state where it's even again.
1 HP. It was unironically 1 HP at the lowest. He lived with 1. That is crazy work that he gets away like that. And you can see the whole roller coaster of emotions there on Golden Glue's face as he thought, yeah, we have the pick here. This is great. Good job, guys. And then the Renekton just barely walks away from it. Sentinels now looking to put on some pressure of their own. They've got DARKWINGS back up here in this top lane looking for the tier 1 turret that he was seeking after earlier. This time should be able to find it considering he has teammates in the neighborhood. As Morgan will take the chance to now trade for the tier 2 in the bottom lane. Team Liquid do have more turrets overall this game. They have had more control over more of the map for more of the game. DARKWINGS wants to try to let this turret eat as many minions as it can before it falls down. And it looks like right as we're about at the end here, there we go. Tag it, take it away. Team Liquid still with about a 1,000 gold lead, but since the game is this close, I think stopping that soul stack matters that much more because now one bad fight doesn't mean they get the soul and all of a sudden the gold lead doesn't matter because the soul is such an impactful buff, right?
This gives so much time for the Azir and the Kaisa to keep scaling as well. Right now is Morgan's time though. He completed the second full item on his Renekton. This was one of the points that Spawn was actually bringing up with Morgan in their VOD review. When he's this strong of a Renekton, like, stop doing cardio running back and forth between lanes and, like, go find fights. So right now, it's really hard to do much to this Sion. So I imagine after he pushes this lane, Morgan might go click on Baron and try and make something happen in River here.
Speaking of Baron, we do have that topside Scuttle Crab secured just now for Sentinels, thanks to HamBak and DARKWINGS, so they'll have some vision control over the area. Team Liquid going to step up and try to fight back for some of that themselves. 3 turrets to 2 turrets, considering it was not a full tier 1 for tier 2 trade across the map when DARKWINGS took that tier 1, and you were seeing Morgan try to respond in the bottom lane against the Sentinels tier 2. CoreJJ placing some control wards in the Baron pit right now. Team Liquid gold lead staying exactly where it has been. DARKWINGS now with an individual gold lead alongside Rahel. Jatt, if I'm playing this composition with Sion and Vi in top lane and jungle, and it's my Azir and Kaisa that have the gold leads, I could not be happier.
Yeah, they're they're chilling at this point. Impact completely neutralizing Morgan. Morgan on a ward as well with a potential Neeko gank, which wouldn't have done much. Now recalling on a control ward. Interesting choice.
Okay. Is this
very interesting choice.
No, okay.
Was he was just outside the bush. He didn't see it.
Oh, that is actually a big problem potentially as Impact storms in right over top of his bottom lane combo and they take Morgan out.
Ah, he wasn't inside the bush when he was recalling. I thought it was super strange that he'd be on a control ward. It's also weird that he didn't step in the bush. Just a misclick, I'd imagine, on that recall, but with that big of a lead, not being able to make anything happen and actually being the one that gets picked really hurts Team Liquid's momentum.
It's not a Guardian Aatrox, but it's a very impactful mistake that could have some serious ramifications. Impact now has all the pressure in the world here in the bottom lane. He's made his way onto the tier 2 turret. The wave is crashing into that one. Sentinels is looking to secure even more gold for their side. Yeah, you got that cannon minion alive, but look at this massive minion wave that's now going to be eaten up by QUID, who does need to use his TP to go answer Impact down here.
Sentinels might win this game. Rahel just keeps getting gold. 5 kills now. Looks like Dusk and Dawn is on the way. Kaisa has a new build every single patch. You do so much damage.
She's one of those types of champs.
You have so much damage with Dusk and Dawn, like pseudo AP attack speed Kaisa. No way to build resists against it. You proc your passive constantly, have great poke. So he's going to be very strong. And there's not great ways for Team Liquid to actually get on top of Kaisa. with next Drake coming up in a fight, surely going to happen around it.
Yeah, people think about, ooh, hold on now. Impact going into the middle of everybody as Morgan tries to do the same and immediately rethinks that decision.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right, both top laners throw themselves into a 1v4. Sion's pretty much always going to outperform in that situation.
Getting value out of the TP shield. They just really wanted to make sure they were maxing it.
All right, Sentinels starting up the Drake. Keep your eyes on Rahel, on that Kaisa. Impact still full HP here with the Sion as well. Huhi goes in for the Pop Blossom. Finds it, but it's only on to Josedeodo as the Shockwave counterattack seals the fate of Huhi. One dead on either side, but considering it's the jungler for TL, it means Sentinel secures the Drake. Easy peasy. Morgan dies now too, and Sentinels are not done yet. QUID tries to get away from the Sion, but Impact is cutting off the escape route for CoreJJ and QUID. He has to back away now as Yeon finds some DPS opportunity to open up here a little bit, but Sentinels, Jatt, now commanding a 1,000 gold lead and a tied Drake game.
Perfect fight for them. Both kills went to the Kaisa. They killed enemy jungler. HamBak secured the smite. This is their style of game. Double Hextech Drake now. Watching it one more time. Huhi sacrifices his life. They get Yeon out of the fight. They burst a bunch of damage onto Jose so that when Jose tries to go back in, they can kill him. And then just nice discipline here. Everyone turning for Morgan, who was already in the pit, and no one on Team Liquid could get through this Sion.
Good mid-game from Sentinels here so far, defending, fighting their way back into this game. There's that Dusk and Dawn that you were talking about. And what I was going to say before we got the last fight is you feel like Kaisa with the AP evolution, you always think of the value of the poke. You think of like the ARAM style of Kaisa with Void Seeker. It's also just a super low cooldown, so you're always getting those Dusk and Dawn procs off of the Sheen like you're talking about. So let's see, Team Liquid, how do you stabilize now that Sentinels are the ones putting on the pressure?
I think it's hard. They don't have great disengage. They're trying to take space with Karma, but CoreJJ is incredibly squishy. I mean, look at that. Impact not really taking damage, and Morgan not yet level 16, only 500 gold ahead of Impact. Waiting for Huhi to try and find another engage. He's really been the one that starts things.
Yeah, Morgan's Renekton 1-4-0 in this game. Honestly, just not a very good look from him on this champion. We're going to need to see a lot more out of the Crocodile if Team Liquid wants to be able to turn things back in their favor. 3 minutes until the next Drake spawns, so everybody's eyes are here in the top side of the Rift, focusing around the Baron, focusing on the Vision War, as right now it's Team Liquid with control over the river itself, but because there's the Scuttle Crab vision for Sentinels, it's not like Team Liquid can fully force them out.
Yeah, I feel like it's just a matter of a little bit of farming until the next Drake. It's still a little bit early to really hard force the Baron unless they do get a nice pick.
Oh, that is huge. HamBak! That is a potentially game-losing mistake for the jungler to be caught in a position like that as DARKWINGS retreats back up here to the top side. But now, jungler dead, no Emperor's Divide, 4v5 for Sentinels.
I think Sentinels look for a fight here. I mean, DARKWINGS had to burn ultimate already as a disengage, but Impact can still ult in to create space.
Okay, there's no ulti on Morgan, there's no ulti on QUID. Sentinels stepping up.
Gotta keep hitting Baron so they can smite it.
Yep, Impact's your front line here. Team Liquid still DPSing the Baron. No smite on the enemy team to try to steal it away. Baron secured. HamBak's greedy recall is the deadliest of sins. And for all the work that Sentinels have done fighting their way back into this game, Team Liquid has once again taken control.
I mean, I'm impressed with Team Liquid's gambit there to invade like that, thinking that Sentinels was all going to be resetting, because with how squishy they are, like, I'm trying to figure out how they took this space. So Yeon has the control ward already. It's just really good vision overall by Team Liquid to have that control ward there, and HamBak would have needed to recall next to Impact. Should have done it in Fog. Since they've just been pushed out of that space, I do think that's just a mistake by HamBak.
Especially since you know we didn't clear the control ward they had in the bush.
Exactly.
You know the control ward is there. You know it only dropped to 2 HP. So HamBak, a mistake on that one, a bit of a blunder, does get punished, and now Team Liquid are back in control. But again, getting those past 2 Drakes, this is so much less frightening for Sentinels than it otherwise could have been, because Team Liquid now could be in some trouble. Yeon with the flash over the wall, but immediately Rahel's ready to follow. Killer instinct! Killer indeed. Huhi ends up taking the kill credit, as now you've got QUID and Josedeodo trying to do something back into Sentinels. They found a couple of kills. DARKWINGS wants to go in after QUID as Jose and Morgan are trying to scrap with Rahel and Impact. CoreJJ makes his way into the fight, but QUID's had to run all the way away. Impact stunned up with the enchanted Ruthless Predator, loses his shield on that one. Josedeodo looking for Rahel, he knows that's the target. Dead bodies on the floor in both jerseys, Jatt. It's 1 dead for TL, 2 dead for Sentinels.
And we're going again in 30 seconds. That was a really cool play. So that's the type of threat that Kaisa can have on Ezreal at any stage in the game. Someone just lands the CC to apply the first Kaisa mark, and then Rahel's going to be able to fly in and finish off the execution. But what I was really impressed with was Team Liquid's confidence to re-engage, because usually if your AD carry gets one shot, you think maybe the game's over, but they'd burned so much just to get Yeon. They said Morgan at level 16 with Renekton and me with my Conqueror, not first strike Jarvan, are still going to be able to win this fight later. And they're going to get the Drake out of it too, with the redeploy by Sentinels just being towards waves.
Yeah, Team Liquid secure this one for themselves. There's no Baron on the other side of the map to worry about Sentinels taking. So finally, 28, nearly 29 minutes into the game, it is soul point status for TL. DARKWINGS' Sundisk is decaying down here in the bottom lane. Josedeodo going to jump in, try to put some pressure onto the Emperor. Core and Yeon moving in to try to help Jose here. The tether will lock up DARKWINGS, but they need to have the extra damage on top, and Josedeodo guarantees it. Another individual mistake on the Sentinels side, being in a position that could be punished, is going to open up yet another Team Liquid avenue to find more afterwards. This is a 45-second death timer on your late game Azir. This is pressure onto the tier 3 turret coming out from Team Liquid as Impact moves in to try to stop the push. Morgan is maintaining a split push threat over in the mid lane, but now he's going to get jumped on. HamBak and Rahel immediately pull both triggers on the ultimates and take out the enemy top laner. Problem is, now those tools are no longer available, and Team Liquid is already in your base. Sentinels are thinking about, how are we going to make this play? How do we try to wrap around and punish? But it's still a 4v4 because you've still got DARKWINGS dead. Now, once DARKWINGS respawns, he has TP. We'll see if they can use that.
I'll give you a second to take a breath, because this game's not slowing down. HamBak is on the flank, and they will have a numbers advantage before Team Liquid can get out.
Huhi's Pop Blossom, keep your eyes on it. QUID's gonna be tagged, but nobody else is caught. Huhi goes for some burst. Impact wants to lock up the rest of the team. HamBak trying to put the Vault Breaker into QUID, and they've got the kill in the mid laner. Nicely picked up there on the side of Sentinels to get QUID and CoreJJ together. Yeon and Josedeodo trying to make sure they can both escape. It's the buddy system. Don't go nowhere without your buddy. Sentinels wanting to get something back on this one. Tier 1 turret. Now the focus of their aggression. They will take the gold lead back with this, but critically, Baron is still 2 minutes away, so there won't be a major reward for the picks.
Absolutely insane game we have here. This is the stage equivalent of that 80 kill scrim game. The hex gates are open, the tempo's out of control. It looks like Team Liquid just never wants to stop, like they're just going forward at every single moment, and it's leading to some big plays and some misplays. On one hand, they got the pick onto DARKWINGS at the beginning. On the other hand, once Renekton died in mid lane, they probably shouldn't have pushed all the way through for that inhibitor, because there was going to be no way out after the fact. And you can see there who he gets the original engage. He does end up falling, but the overall counter punch was still there in a big way for Sentinels.
All right, we find ourselves once more at the Baron Pit part of the map. 60 seconds until it spawns means now is the time to fight for vision and positioning around that objective. Team Liquid moving into the enemy jungle, and if you're Sentinels, particularly if you're HamBak, you've got to be aware of what happened last time. Team Liquid vision in the Sentinels jungle is what led to the previous Baron, so Sentinels must be very mindful as they move back into what should be their territory, retake these brushes, sweep out these wards, and be prepared to fight for a Baron. Because the gold lead, Jatt, really isn't that big. It's 3 dragons to 2. This can very easily go either way based on positioning and execution.
Yeah, where does the shockwave land? Death cap on the Orianna, big one-shot potential. There are 2 stopwatches available, soon to be 3 if huhi gets a little bit more gold, which is just a huge number of like ways to dodge the shockwave for Sentinels. So I'd like their chances here as long as they don't get picked off, especially with Rahel's gold lead being 3,000 gold up. against his counterpart, Yeon, not to mention impact with his ever-increasing health bar. Looks like he got about 6,000 health at this point.
1,336 HP from Soul Furnace.
Woo.
That's a lot of health.
And it's not like Ezreal, Ori, Jarvan, Renekton is good at shredding it, right? There's no,
you said it back in draft. Yeah, man, when we have Orianna, Ezreal, it can be a little bit hard to chew through a late-game Sion. But now Baron's health bar down to below 10,000. Team Liquid doing very slow DPS, though, as huhi is a Riverside minion trying to find his way around from behind the fight. HamBak wants to lead the charge. Shockwave right back onto the enemy jungler, as both will be knocked down into the Guardian Angels now. Morgan not finding an entry point into the fight as Yeon dies. HamBak's ready there to take the kill. Josedeodo re-enters, and DARKWINGS is dealt with. Jose over the wall, but Rahel's ready to follow him as Team Liquid continue fighting here in a 3v4. Morgan goes back on the wall. Rahel under pressure. They need to try to kill the Kaisa, but they can't find the damage. CoreJJ going to be your target here next. Double kill into a Kathian Rain, and QUID is down. Triple kill Rahel, and Sentinels, when it matters most, out team fight Team Liquid.
Absolutely insane play there by Rahel, but it all started with a suicidal-looking Vi engage. He knew what he needed to do. His job was to set up the Kaisa. He cues in over the wall and just sends it onto Yeon. The rest of the team flies in, and watch Rahel in this fight. After getting ulted by Jarvan, ults over the wall, in range to hit Yeon, but range of safety. Plus he has the stopwatch in this fight, which he holds for the perfect moment. So he flashes over for Jose. The last-ditch effort here by QUID and Morgan is to try and one-shot him. No, the Orianna ball is not going to do it because of that stopwatch. He can finish off even more kills. They get the Baron. They also get another Drake to deny Soul, and this is an absolute banger.
Somebody get my man Golden Glue some water. His face is looking red. He has to be just losing his mind right now at his team pulling off that play. They get the Drake right after, so no Soul for TL yet again. Sentinels equalizing that at 3-3. The next one has to be a Soul one way or the other, but Sentinels is now 4,000 gold ahead. HamBak with the hero moment, man. I criticized him very heavily earlier for getting caught in what gave away the first Baron, but he is absolutely the reason that they got this second one here. So redemption for the Sentinels jungler around the Baron pit. The gold is essentially dead even all over the place, not even 1,000 in any individual role, except with one very big exception, the bottom lane. 5,000 individual gold lead for Rahel on the Kaisa, nearly full build. You can see the itemization here in his inventory. Nashor's, Ginsu's, Dusk Dawn, critically the Zonias as well for the aggro drop alongside the Kraken Slayer, and now with the needlessly large rod in inventory, once that evolves into a fully completed item, he's done. 7-item ADC.
What an absurd power spike you have on every stage of this Kaisa build. Every single item seems to give him a new awesome power, and it's a Kaisa comp. When he's this fed, it's really, really nice to play. It's the funny thing with Rahel, this was true even last year on DSG, like when he gets a lead, he's very good at carrying. It's just really hard to get him gold because their laning is not that dominant. So the fact that they were able to win so many skirmishes is really setting him up for a lot of success.
I mean, it's kind of what you said back at the beginning of the game, right? Like Team Liquid, they were playing super aggro. They were setting the tempo to the game to high. However, that led to some good things and some bad, even though they had those massive CS leads in top lane, mid lane, bottom lane, everywhere. The kills that Sentinels got kept the game close enough for Rahel to start hitting back, for DARKWINGS to start hitting back. We have 3 minutes until what finally, after 36 minutes of gameplay, 39 once we get there, must be a Dragon Soul.
Yes, it will be a Dragon Soul, assuming someone hits the Drake. And also, what a vintage Impact game. 29 kills, none of the deaths have been Impact. 1-0-11, an absolute brick wall, level 20 Sion in this game.
This guy is crazy. You give him the right rune and look what he can do. Impact is one of the most veteran players in Pro League of Legends worldwide for a reason. The guy is an absolute beast, man. All right, Sentinels with control over the map. They're trying to make sure that now Team Liquid are the ones who feel the pressure. They're the ones who feel suffocated inside their own base. Morgan is trying to defend the top lane, everybody else defending the mid lane. But it looks like Sentinels will just be happy taking control with Vision for now. It doesn't look like they'll be able to push much further as the Baron has expired. So that just means it's a 2-minute countdown, my friend. It's time for a soul.
Death cap on the Kaisa as well. So he is 1.5 full items ahead of Yeon's Ezreal. It's just, it's a full 7-item Kaisa, lethal tempo, AP hybrid super Kaisa. Will just one-shot the world, assuming he doesn't get one-shot himself.
Observers, if we can, could you pull up the tooltip for Kaisa's passive
550,
specifically
1 AP
right now so the viewers can see how much damage the passive will do? Okay, so this is Plasma dealing 48% missing health magic damage on a single Plasma proc. I knew it was going to be high. I didn't know it was going to be 48% of your missing health.
And he does that in like half a second once he's autoing you too.
Yeah. So if you're at half health, the bonus damage from the Plasma proc, without even considering anything else of his on-hits or any of that, will take away one of the 2 remaining quarters of your health.
That doesn't seem very fair.
Well, it is a 7-item marksman, so at this point, if he's not doing damage, something is broken. But that damage seems like it might be a little bit high. Ops crew, thank you very much. Love you guys. And now we want to see if Sentinels can close this one out. I feel like for many situations, if you play this next situation 10 times, a lot of those times, this is the game ender.
I agree, and this could also be the series ender. Like, we're talking them up in a big way, but if Rahel mispositions or Team Liquid win this in a weird way, the game's late enough with no turrets on the bottom side that they could run and end the series. It's likely we see a game 3, but Sentinels need to close the deal here. They've done such a good job fighting their way back in this game. They've hit the 7-item power spike. It's time to get this soul and convert the advantage.
Whenever we get into these late game moments, I always want to count who has the 1 fight, 1 game items. Guardian Angel on both junglers, Zhonya's on both mid laners, but then critically, you've got Zhonya's on both bottom laners for the side of Sentinels as well. The only person without a no you can't kill me item on Sentinels is the 7,000 HP Sion.
So I think he's a no, he doesn't need the item. It's also the protoplasm harness, kind of. Like when you have
it's not to the same
health,
degree, but it's really, it is still good.
It's insane. They just get the soul for free. So we could still be in this for a little while longer with Baron up. They're just going to collect the buffs that are available on the map. And you can see right now Jose he's trying to make a funny play happen. While they were doing Drake, he snuck his way in, and he's really just hoping that they do something silly and they can make something happen.
But again, when it's 3 Zhonya's Hourglasses and a Guardian Angel and a guy that has 8,000 health, who actually cares about walking into a lone Jarvan at 40 minutes into the game?
There's nobody that's instantly burstable unless they are like not looking at their screen and they get hit by a shockwave, because they can always press the stopwatch on the Orianna ultimate. They have better poke, they have better DPS. They just need to make sure they're playing as a unit. And they found him, actually.
Jungle battle. Okay, never mind. It's not a jungle battle. It's an EQ to get away. CoreJJ just took a massive thunderbolt of damage because also all the Void Seekers from Rahel now have the Hex Soul Lightning Bolt Chain Lightning Slow attached to them. So, yeah, those Void Seekers, I feel like the Void Seeker with the Hex Soul proccing on it and everything probably does more damage than Ezreal ulti does.
Yeah, I want to see Rahel's damage at the end of this game if the Lounge is listening.
I really want one of those to hit, just so I can see the chunk of damage. All right, let's go ahead and begin the Baron. It's HamBak and Rahel. That's DPS from just the 3 of them. Like, this thing is shredding. Team Liquid, if they want to try to challenge this, they're going to have to go yesterday. Nope, HamBak's already got it secured. Impact's in the middle of everybody. huhi with the pop blossom onto the back line, already ready to take Yeon out of the picture. CoreJJ's your target as Josedeodo has to retreat. Rahel's going legendary. Now he's going golden. He's putting the pressure onto everybody on Team Liquid, and Yeon's going to be killed off next. True shot barrage won't matter worth a damn. QUID's running towards the wrong side of the jungle. Josedeodo's trying to cut waves, and Sentinels fought it exactly how they needed to.
They are farming Team Liquid right now. They might not have the minions in the right spot to be able to end.
They got one wave, that's all you need.
I think it's far enough along. Jose tried to cut the wave, couldn't completely do it. They probably end on this push.
Yeah, they've got a cannon minion, they've got Baron. QUID's gonna try to stop these, and as soon as he steps up, you just instantly kill him. The damage onto the turrets from Azir and Kaisa at this part of the game is so massive.
Yeah.
They're just going to crumble in an instant. Impact makes his way forward as well. I can barely count the notches on the health bar anymore on this guy. As Sentinels continues their push towards the Nexus turrets, 15 seconds on Yeon and Morgan for the Team Liquid side. DARKWINGS and Rahel stepping up to do the DPS. Rahel flies into the back line, looking for the killer instinct, but nobody's dead here. Just yet, he one-shot him! Rahel gets the one-shot at a CoreJJ. HamBak following up towards QUID.
You know?
As Sentinels is honestly taking a little bit too long to do this. DARKWINGS getting targeted by Morgan. True shot barrage up at the top. DARKWINGS is slowed. Morgan with a 1,000 gold shutdown. There's no way, right? There's no way, right? There's no way, right? HamBak and Impact are alive, but a TP's coming into the bottom lane now.
Rahel got one shot by QUID trying to style with a late game ultimate. I think the Baron buff and the Sion is enough to stop it, but this wave is pretty deep, and there are super minions for Team Liquid. It would be a 3v2, but this is the last-ditch effort. It's just a Sion and a Vi.
Yeah, they're full syndicate all ready for the Team Liquid side. They already committed both teleports. They've already got Yeon here. HamBak and Impact trying to hold the line. Yeon's gonna make sure he hits every single bit of his DPS, but Morgan's about to die. He dies before he can get away. QUID and Yeon trying to keep the pressure going. Impact at half HP, and Team Liquid recognizes, despite their teleports, despite Rahel going in too deep, this will not be the end of the game. The Elder spawns in less than 2 minutes.
Morgan is having a rough go. Just about 3 seconds ahead of the play there, gets CC chained under the turret. I do think it was overly ambitious for them to try for that end anyway. Again, like Sion does actually do a little bit of damage this late into the game, but my God, as you said, there's no way, right, that doesn't end. But when Rahel flies in without his stopwatch, doesn't get a clean one-shot onto QUID, it did give that small glimmer for Team Liquid on their way back, and it mainly just confirms that we're going to be going to an Elder, which now, so the fact that Rahel's been on 7 items for like 6 minutes, he's getting weaker the later this game goes, and Yeon is now close to the 7 items as well. He's got the Endless Hunger on the Ezreal. We're very close to getting a max item Orianna as well, so it's likely not to cost them the game, but it may have cost him the game there to not cleanly just hit the turrets and end.
This is wild. 44 minutes on the clock. 7 elemental drakes claimed, the largest number that can possibly spawn. Now we're finally getting our Elder. 45 seconds from now, HamBak steals away the enemy red buff as the rest of his team steps forward to keep Team Liquid guessing. Only inhibitors down in the game. Bottom inhibitor gone for Sentinels, mid inhibitor gone for Team Liquid. So it's not like either side is also completely confined into their base either. And both of these inhibitors are in lanes adjacent to the Elder Dragon pit. So it's not like either side is even getting dragged far away towards the other side of the map to deal with the supers.
I still think it's going to be really difficult for Team Liquid to make this approach. The poke from the Kaisa is so enormous. Someone's going to get chunked trying to retake this space. Not to mention, Impact just stands there, and you can't really poke him with how big his W shield is. So Team Liquid just trying to go through mid, and Elder is up. So the instant Rahel starts hitting it, it's going to die in like 5 seconds.
Okay, let's see how much damage they do to it. Acathian Rain. Yeah, it honestly looks like
already 10,000 damage.
Kaisa's dancing with how fast she shoots. This has got to be a new feature for the KDA skin, as now immediately they try to go in. DARKWINGS is going to be your target. Yeon's already killed him, but the Elder Drake has been claimed by the side of Sentinels. HamBak going into the back line, looking to try to find himself a target. Rahel flies in with a killer instinct, and there's your executions. Sentinels finally finds it, the triple, the quadra kill for Rahel. They might have lost DARKWINGS there at the very beginning, but the Elder buff ends games for a reason. It was a long, bloody battle, my friend, but Sentinels are not gonna go quietly here in this best of 3. They bounce back in game number 2. They do it with the massive Kaisa performance from Rahel. This dude is my player of the game, no question.
Captain Flowers, 17 kill Kaisa game. My player of the game as well. Chat, let me know what you think in Lounge. Let's hear your vote as we're going to a game 3.
We got game 3. That was an incredible carry from Rahel. The Kaisa Vi combo. Beautiful to watch.
I feel like they're always trying to game, not that we also didn't vote Rahel, but I feel like they're always trying to game the system as we look through this final fight. A really nice Rahel moment, but also a good exercise. And even though DARKWINGS goes down pretty immediately, Impact is such a beefy frontliner for this team. And then this play from Rahel is just sick.
Literally just the idea of having to walk past the wall of Impact and Neeko, just stopping you at all